So, hello and welcome to the Kendall MMA full card prediction and breakdown for UFC 309, John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I'm going to go through the entire card, break down every single fight one by one, and give you my take as to who I think will win that matchup. Pretty simple concept. You'll understand it. I'm trying to do this whole video in one take. No editing whatsoever allowed for me at all. It's going to be just a whole singular take, one video. I don't feel like editing tonight. It's already 9 o'clock. I have to be in bed by 11 p.m. So I'm already pretty cooked starting out here. But you know what? One take. You might hear me, mess up a few times, but it is what it is. I might have a few moments where I talk really fast, but no editing. It is what it is. But we're going to go over to my good old friend, the good old topology page, where I already do have it pulled up for you guys nice and smoothly. Now, if you're not familiar with my topology page, I do have a group that you can join. The link is down in the description below. You can join that group, and eventually, once we get around 30 or 40 so people, I will be offering prizes to the top predictor of the week. So if you are interested in that, go ahead in the description down below, get involved. It is what it is. But moving on, starting off with the first fight on the card, the early prelim opener, we have Veronica Hardy versus Eduarda Mora. Now, I do not know too much about Eduarda Mora. She just lost to Denise Gomez, which, Denise Gomez, sometimes she just has those in her because she's just, a certain type of person, but or fighter is what I mean to say. A certain type of fighter, not person. It's the wrong word to describe her. But she's decent, man. She's decent. She's powerful. She's strong. She's a typical women's MMA fighter who, I won't say that honestly. I'll just move on. You know what I mean? If you get where I'm going with that. And Veronica Hardy is I would say a very attractive woman, and Eduardo Mora, kind of my ESPN is one off. It's kind of the same way. 29 years old. But you know what? Veronica Hardy's on a good win streak here. She beat, honestly, man, beating Aldrich is not a bad thing. It's actually a pretty good win on her resume. Jamie Lynn Horth, who cares? Yeah. Juliana Miller is not anything that I would really even account or credit for. I mean, she's straight up garbage. So Bay Malecki lost to her, beat Polyana Viana 5 years ago. I think she had like a good stretch where she was just incredibly inactive between the Bay Malecki fight and the Miller fight. But overall, Veronica Hardy, I think, is really good. Eduardo Mora, I don't know too much about. It's women's MMA. We don't care. Veronica Hardy by decision. Moving on up the card to an actual, probably going to be a really good scrap. We have Oban Elliott versus Basil Hafez. Now, Basil Hafez is a good dog here. I won't even lie to you guys. He's a good dog here. Lost to JDM. Okay. I mean, arguably he's JDM's toughest fight. I mean, there's JDM fought Gilbert Burns and then Basil Hafez. Those are his two toughest fights to date, and that is a good thing to have. Even though it is a loss for Basil Hafez, it's a good thing for him to have that on his kind of record almost. A close split decision loss to JDM, which I do think JDM won clearly. Now, Oban Elliott, his striking does worry me, and he can get hurt in matchups, man. He's not prone to just going out there and having a clean striking session and being unable to be hurt. He can grapple, which is where he might have the leg up on Basil Hafez. I think Oban Elliott's grappling is better than Basil Hafez, but Hafez is a fast starter, strong starter, and I wouldn't put it past Basil Hafez, or I wouldn't put it past Oban Elliott to choke this one against Basil Hafez. Listen, a plus 235 dog for Basil Hafez, I think, is egregious. I think it should be closer in odds. But Oban Elliott, he's 26 years old. Basil Hafez, arguably he was on gear for that JDM fight. And now that he's been more established into the UFC, maybe he's not on that same sort of cycle anymore. So that could be the take for Basil Hafez being probably terrible in this matchup versus Oban Elliott. But I'll take Oban Elliott. I think he'll win a very, very close decision where he will get outstruck maybe in the first round and possibly gets hurt and dropped by Basil Hafez. But as the fight goes on, his pace, his takedowns, his style overall is going to probably overwhelm a gassing Basil Hafez, who will put everything in the first round to only not finish Oban Elliott, because he is tough, man. Oban Elliott, I think when he fought Val Woodburn got hurt, he pretty clearly beat Preston Parsons. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it just seems like, am I thinking, is Oban Elliott the guy who gets hurt all the time? I might be mistaking Oban Elliott for the wrong dude. No, I'm pretty sure. Like, his striking is not that great. I know for a fact his striking is not the best part of his game, and it is his grappling. But I think we'll see Basil Hafez hurt Oban Elliott at some point. But as the fight goes on, we're going to see Oban Elliott kind of turn it around and win a 29-28 unanimous decision. Moving on, Mickey Gall versus Ramiz Brahimaj. Mickey Gall, Mickey Gall, Mickey Gall, Mickey Gall. You know, Mickey Gall, looking back at it, man, when he fought Mike Mallet, I like to say Mallet, but people call him, or his name is pronounced Malott. But when he fought Mike Malott, he gave, him some issues. And for how I think decent Mike Mallet is, he's a striking coach at the gym, right? He trains other people, which is, I think, really really good credentials on Mike Mallet. I'm going to interchange that throughout this entire. Never mind. Fuck his name. I'm not saying his name anymore. Fuck it. But lost to Basil Hafez in a good scrap, and that's another argument for Basil Hafez. I mean, beating Mickey Gall by a tough decision, which he did clearly win, is pretty fucking tough. But I think Mickey Gall has improved a lot. Now, Ramiz Brahimaj, you know, honestly, in my opinion, there's no shame to losing to Thimba Garembo. That dude's a freak. Michael Gilmore, whatever. Court McGee, losing to Court McGee at that age, even though it was almost 3 years ago. I mean, Court McGee is like, what, 42? So a 39-year-old Court McGee is not. No, I think he's younger than that. But still, an old Court McGee is not a good loss to have, even 3 years ago. Sasha Politnikov, Max Griffin, lost to him 4 years ago. Ramiz Brahimaj has kind of been just a mid fighter, and so has Mickey Gall. But I know his 7-6 record looks very, very stinky. But I think Mickey Gall has improved, and I think he's better than a 7-6 fighter, which might be a crazy thing to say. But I'm gonna take Mickey Gall to just fucking maybe find a way to outscrap Ramiz Brahimaj and win by maybe a TKO in round two. This could backfire on me. It probably will backfire on me because Mickey Gall, maybe even though he has looked good in his past few fights, he still has lost those fights. Obviously, he got swept by Mike Malott. Arguably a late stoppage, by the way. I'm sorry, not late, early stoppage, by the way. Losing to Basil Hafez. Alex Morono, I think, has looked terrible in his most recent fights. So, I mean, even though he is looking somewhat decent in these matchups, he still is losing. So, I can't give him too much credit, but I think he'll find a way to probably, use his veteran craftiness and his big meaty hooks to take out Ramiz Brahimaj. I'm just trolling at this point. Moving on. Marcin Tybura versus Janata Deniz. Now, I think Deniz was supposed to fight somebody else. I forget who it was. I forget who he was supposed to fight before Tybura. Maybe it was always Tybura, but I'm pretty sure he had a fight booked against Derek Lewis, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't remember exactly, but I don't know. Carl Williams, he didn't look that great. I mean, Austin Lane by KO, like, who can't KO Austin Lane? I guess Spain can't, which is the fucking stupidness of this sport. But he hasn't ever really impressed me. Like, he's like a typical heavyweight, right? Well, Marcin Tybura, I think, is the litmus test of heavyweights. Tybura does everything well, but nothing great, right? The striking, not good, or not bad, sorry, but not great or amazing. His grappling, I think, is his better part of Tybura's game. I think he does grapple. I think grappling is his best attribute. I think he does it better than the striking, which I think can take him. Which I think he can use against Deniz here and get a W. Like, I don't think his grappling is anything amazing, but it's good, solid grappling for Tybura. Whereas Deniz, he just reminds me of a typical heavyweight, 33 years old, coming into the UFC. Like he's been here for a year now, so he came into the UFC when he was 32. You know, this is just a typical old heavyweight who hasn't been here for a long time. He's 8-0, but I sense, I mean, all these heavyweights lose at some point, man, to somebody who you think there can never be a clean heavyweight prospect anymore. And I don't think Denise is that new Tom Aspinall type prospect or that new Cyril Gahn type prospect who looks good and is good. I don't think he is that. And I think Tybura fraud checks him here. I mean, arguably not a fraud check because there's nothing really fraudulent about him yet, right? Nobody's really giving him any hype. So I think Tybura wins by decision. Now you can not no, honestly, no. I don't know. Arguably, you could argue that Denise could go out there and KO Tybura. Tybura's been KO'd by Tom Aspinall, twice. Sergey Spivak submitted him with ease. That was a crazy submission. I mean, for a heavyweight, man, for Spivak to do that to Tybura is kind of crazy. Went out there, took down Tai Tuivasa, Blugway Ivanov, whatever. I honestly, I mean, it's not on here, but I remember when Tybura fought Volkov, and that was, I think, a very terrible looking Volkov, but still, Tybura made that fight pretty hard for Volkov, who has now looked amazing. I think there's some veteranness. Obviously, there is some veteranness. Denise could go out there and probably get a KO over Tybura. He can be chinned, but I think overall, I trust in the craftiness of Tybura to go out there and get it like an arm triangle, like a late third round arm triangle or late second round arm triangle against Denise after he gasses out from the first round or gets tired from the first round. Moving on. Roberto Romero versus David Onama. Now, I think Onama has a pretty easy win on his plate here. This guy can't fumble this. Onama's good, man, but he does gas. But, he's like I would say Onama is kind of a better version of Terrence McKinney, where Terrence McKinney is very fast and powerful in that first round, but after the first round, he has nothing left in his gas tank and he's just going to get chinned. I think Onama's a better chin than Terrence McKinney. I think his striking maybe isn't as fast and as clean as McKinney, but he does pack a punch and he is very long and rangy. I don't think his grappling is as good as McKinney's as well, but he can grapple. I think training out of Team Alpha Male, I think it says Glory MMA and Fitness, but I'm pretty sure he was training at Team Alpha Male for quite a bit of time. No, I think it was James Krause who was training Onama for a while, and I think James Krause came out and said that Onama is like lazy in training and stuff. So that could be an issue, but I think this Romero guy is nothing. He's 24 years old. Beat 26-14 Takahiro Ishida. Lost to 5-2 Patrick Lehane. He's 8-3-1. Justin, this guy's in the UFC. This guy's in the UFC. Nama's been in the UFC for quite a bit of time now. 12-2. I mean, it just is probably a quick cupcake KO for Onama here. He just is powerful and very, very strong in that first round. I don't see him losing. Moving on. Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. Now, Damon Jackson just recently lost to Shepe Mariscal, who is, really crafty, man. He's a crafty featherweight. I won't even lie to you. Jim Miller lost to Bobby Green, got outstruck pretty consistently throughout 3 rounds in that matchup. He tried to win, but Bobby Green was just too slick on the feet for him. Damon Jackson can wrestle, but his striking is god-awful, man. This guy can't strike worth a damn. It's pretty much terrible, but Damon Jackson can take people down, but it's Jim Miller. I think Jim Miller, again, is too much of a veteran to get out-grappled by Damon Jackson for 3 rounds and just lose. I think he just is going to stop his takedowns, and if he can't, then I think it's time for Jim Miller to hang up the gloves and go on with his life. But again, I don't think he'll get taken down too much by Damon Jackson. There might be times where he does get taken down by him, but I don't think it will be the reason why Damon Jackson wins rounds. I think on the feet, Jim Miller is way better with his boxing. He has power still at 41 years old. Damon Jackson can be chinned as well. I don't trust the chin of Jamin Jackson. He's has been winning too consistently. Obviously lost to Billy Quarantillo, lost to Dan Ige by KO, lost to Mariscal by decision. I think anybody who can stuff takedowns, I guess Damon Jackson wins on the feet. And I think Jim Miller can be the guy to do that. Probably by KO round 2, round 1. I think he finds the chin with an overhand right on Damon Jackson and puts him out. Puts him out. Moving on. Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. Now this matchup is shit. I mean, Chris Weidman is way. I know he's a former champion, but he's cooked, man. He's been gone for a while now, and so is Eric Anders. So it makes sense why this is an evens matchup because both of these guys are, I think, pretty washed. I won't even lie to you. So who do I think is less washed? Is kind of like my whole take on how I'm going to predict this fight. Um, um, he beat Bruno Silva by. No, that's the fight that he won. He beat Bruno Silva by eye poke. He poked his eye out and then finished him. But Eric Anders, he beat Jimmy Pickett. Jimmy Pickett shouldn't even, like. Geez, this is a tough one. Marc-Andre Barriol. I'm gonna say Chris Weidman also broke his leg. Umpire Kyle Dog. Oh, Jesus Christ. Uriah Hall, that was 3 years ago. Yeah, that's when he broke his leg. Brad Tavares was pretty tough. Had a good scrap with Brad Tavares. Yeah, that's what I'll say, man. Chris Weidman had a good scrap with Brad Tavares. It wasn't like anything amazing, but it was a good fight, good scrap. And Weidman went out there. He lost, but he went out there and he didn't look like awfully terrible, never fight again sort of deal. And then he beat Bruno Silva, who is, I mean, what a fall from not even grace, but at one point Bruno Silva was fighting Pereira and giving him all he could handle and making the fight close and making it a tough decision for Peloton. But now he's getting beat by Chris Weidman by eye poke. And he was before that getting outstruck by him as well. So, I mean, Bruno Silva is just garbage now. Just recently lost too. But in regards to this fight, I'll go ahead and take Chris Weidman. I think he's a bit less washed. This fight is dog shit. Eric Anders can't strike. His grappling is very mid. This will probably be a clinch fest matchup. So yeah, that's what I'll go ahead and take for that fight, man. It fucking blows. Moving on. Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGee. Now, Marcus McGee has looked really good. I mean, really, really good. Gaston Bolaños, but again, it's against guys who aren't really that great. JP Bays has never been really that good in the UFC, or ever was good. I think he lost like 5 in a row at one point. It was terrible. Jonathan Martinez lost to Jose Aldo. It is what it is. Beat Adrian Yanez by low kicks. Honestly, this fight is a really, I think, big sleeper matchup here. This is going to be a really fun fight to watch from a technical standpoint. Now, Marcus McGee is a bit. No, he's not. They're both 5'8". I thought he was shorter than that, but apparently he's not shorter than 5'8". I thought he was like 5'5" or 5'6". I don't know where I got that impression from. Same reach. Like, this is probably one of the hardest fights to predict. Marcus McGee is 34 years old. I don't know. It's just going to be. It's going to be tough. I can't really predict this one. Well, there goes my one take. Had to do an edit there. That's the only edit I want to do this entire video. Is what it is. But when it comes to this fight, Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGee, it's going to be pretty tough. Marcus McGee is 34 years old, which does worry me. At bantamweight, once you hit like that 34, 35-year-old threshold, that's when things get a bit difficult. And Martinez, man, the low kicks are nasty. I won't lie to you. So it all really depends on how well can Marcus McGee defend those low kicks. And I'm gonna take Martinez, but I'm very, very worried. Marcus McGee just hasn't fought the competition that I want him to fight just yet, man. Like, obviously Gaston Bolaños. Yeah, he's beating guys he should beat, and he's beating them by finish, which is good. But it's also Gaston Bolaños, and it's also JP Bays. I don't know how good Marcus McGee really is. Now, the eye test tells me that he is great, that he is a really good fighter, but until it's against some elite competition, I just can't pick him just yet. Maybe he can prove me wrong against Martinez. I wouldn't mind that, but it is what it is. Moving on. Mauricio Hoofy. The fighting nerds are back versus James Yontop. James Yontop, honestly, I thought he was going to get smoked by Borshev, but he actually gave Borshev a tough time. But, you know, it's the fighting nerds. Mauricio Hoofy made his debut against Jamie Malarkey and embarrassed him. Embarrassed him. He was in a flow state early. Um, I think his first loss is by KO, like ever in his professional career. So he's been like a 10 fight win streak right now for Mauricio Hoofy. Um, I trust the fighting nerds gym. I trust Hoofy. The eye test already tells me he's pretty good. One thing that I did notice I don't like about Hoofy is that he throws his right hand a lot when going in for finishes. I think he's open to being countered. But James Jodtop, it's tough. I don't think we'll get chinned early. I think we'll see more of an accumulation KO for Mauricio Hoofy. This one's pretty simple. James Jotop is not like a terrible fighter. He showed good boxing against Borshev. He showed that he is tough, has a good chin versus Borshev. But Borshev, I think, is kind of, I wouldn't say overrated. He's more of the guys who like goes unnoticed at lightweight. But it's just tough. It's just tough. I think Borshev is not good. It's not amazing like I thought he was at one point. That's what I'm trying to get at here. But James on top, not a complete scrub, but I think Mauricio Hoofy is a different level. I think Fighting Nerds Gym right now is at a different level. These guys are all, I think, elite ranked fighters for the most part. Maybe there's a few in there who probably aren't, but Kyle Barajo, Gene Silva, Mauricio Hoofy, Carlos Prates. These guys are a different breed. Those big four at Fighting Nerds are a different breed. Moving on. Karine Silva versus Vivian Araujo. Now, Karine Silva, she's 18-4. She has some pretty stinky losses on her resume, but she should beat Vivian Araujo. I think at one point, I might be wrong here. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure Araujo quit on the stool in one fight. I don't remember what it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I am wrong. Who did that? What woman fighter did that? I don't know. I mean, Karine Silva's been on a tear here. She's good. She's like our first really good women's prospect in a while here. She does everything well. Yeah, that's really about it. Araujo, like Natalia Silva, Amanda Ribas, Alexa Grasso. She's just a mid women's fighter, 37 years old. She's not amazing me anymore, man. I can't really sit here and be like, oh yeah, Araujo, she still has it, man. She's still an elite veteran. She has that craftiness to her. I don't really feel that from her anymore. While Karine Silva, I know she's one of them types, man. She's an actual prospect, But again, I don't care. I don't think most people care about this fight. I'm going to take Karine Silva by decision. Another cut, my fault. My camera died, but yeah, Karine Silva by decision. Moving on. Paul Craig versus Bo Nickel. Now, could Paul Craig go out here and just get a sub? For sure. It's a possibility. I think anybody's picking Paul Craig, you're picking him to win by fluke sub. That's the old take when it comes to this. Obviously, Topology agrees. 90% agree that Nickel's going to win. 10% believe he's going, or 10% are picking Paul Craig to win by submission. So if you are picking Paul Craig, you're thinking, okay, he's going to get some weird triangle off bottom versus Bo Nickel. But other than that, man, when it comes to power, I think Bo Nickel can chin him on the feet. When it comes to grappling, I mean, I hate jiu-jitsu guys, and that's what Paul Craig is, man. He will pull guard on Bo Nickel, and I think that's a mistake. I just simply think it is. Bo Nickel is improving at a rapid rate. He's 6-0, been out for 7 months now, probably been training hard, fought Cody Brundage, didn't like the way he fought in that matchup, thought he could finish Brundage earlier. Paul Craig will probably not last as long. I can just smell a quick one-punch KO from Bo Nickel here. Obviously, I don't need to go through all of Bo Nickel's credentials. You've probably been rammed into your head by now, but I think we're in for probably a quick one with this fight because Paul Craig recently got chinned pretty bad by Kyle Barajo, and Barajo isn't this super power puncher. I know he hurt Jerry Candler at some times, but I think Kyle Barajo isn't like I think his grappling is way better than his striking, but not a powerful guy. And I think Paul Craig getting chinned by him is a pretty sad look. Brendan Allen submitted him. Like, when it comes to like, if when at the very very worst, I think Bo Nickel should win by decision, because we're going to see Paul Craig just sit there and probably pull guard. And as long as Bo Nickel has a somewhat decent understanding of jiu-jitsu, I think he should stay safe versus Paul Craig and win. But I think we'll see him probably chin him, because it's only been what, it's been 5 months, and it's been quite a while since the Paul Craig fight. But I think he's in for a chinning. I won't even lie to you. Moving on. Charles Oliveira, co-main event versus Michael Chandler. You know what? I think Oliveira takes this one easy, man. I think by probably KO again, round one or round two. Here's the thing with Michael Chandler, man. He's been out for such a long time, bro. Been out for 2 years, taking his damage, been training for McGregor. He's now 38 years old. I know that Oliveira's 35 now. It's probably past his time in the UFC as well, but I think this version of Chandler is probably a worser version than what Oliveira fought. And I think that past Oliveira that fought Chandler is at the same level, maybe slightly worse because of the aging. But again, could this be the chance that Oliveira's chin finally says, I'm done, and he gets one punch KO'd, slept by Chandler? For sure. But I just I have so many critiques for Chandler and like one good compliment, right? I think Chandler gasses out in the first 2 minutes of every single fight. He throws every punch with maximum force, maximum power, and he gasses himself out. His IQ is one of the worst in the UFC, or one of the worst at lightweight that's in the rankings right now. Um, he's getting old. He's aging. He it's just so many negatives for Michael Chandler, man. And I think Oliveira, maybe he doesn't have the old Illuminado Du Bronx type run, blonde hair type run Oliveira that we're used to seeing from the past few years. Maybe that's not in him right now anymore. But I still think it's enough to go out there and mess up a Chandler who has been inactive, probably going to be rusty, not as powerful, and will probably make dumb decisions, man. I can almost guarantee it. Um, I'm sensing a head kick for Oliveira here, a head kick finish. And at the very least, I think Oliveira's cardio will hold up better. So let's say this fight ends up being a complete opposite of their first fight, and this fight goes into the later rounds. Like, what is this, a 5 rounder or a 3 rounder? It's a 5 rounder. So let's say it goes into the third, fourth round. I think Oliveira's cardio will hold up better than Chandler's. I think Chandler will be done by the time the fourth round even hits. So yeah, Oliveira by KO again, probably round two. After getting, obviously the simple old, or the normalness of Oliveira getting dropped in the first round, possibly. But yeah, I'm taking Chandler by I'm sorry, I'm taking Oliveira by KO, TKO, round two. Moving on. John Jones versus Stipe. I've already made a whole video about this. You can watch that video, but I'll give you the cliff notes real quick, guys. Yeah, John Jones, Stipe, probably going to be a boring ass fight. I just don't care. It's so stupid. Tom Aspinall should be in place of Miocic here, but we're not here right now. We're not at that point right now. But yeah, probably a boring fight. Both guys past their prime. There's not much to really talk about with this fight, because we haven't seen John Jones in 2 years, right? 2 years, over 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years. I haven't seen John Jones. Stipe, I haven't seen him in 4 years. So it's like, what do we really go off of, man? There isn't anything new about these guys. And the last time we did see John Jones was when he fought Sorgon, and he won in like 30 seconds. So it's like, there really isn't any information that I can base a prediction off of that would apply to the current state of Miocic and Jones. So I have to go based off of just my intuition and my hunch. And my hunch is telling me that this fight will be boring. It will be a clinch fest. We're going to see John Jones eye poke the shit out of Miocic a lot of the times, like just how DC did a few times. And yeah, being a boring, dull fight where everybody's like, why was this even made? Why wasn't this Tom Aspinall? So I'm taking John Jones by decision. I think he'll win like, 49, 46, 50, 45, something like that. He'll win almost every single round. Maybe he might lose one or two. no takedowns. I think if John Jones goes for takedowns, I think Stipe will stuff them. And if obviously, I think if Stipe goes for a takedown, I think John Jones will stuff it. So it is a lighter version of John Jones. Obviously he's trying to cut down on the weight to eventually make a move back down to light heavyweight, which, maybe he's already looking past Stipe, which you could argue that. Do I want Stipe to win? I don't really care, if I'm being honest with you, but it is what it is. I'm taking John Jones by boring decision. Well, yeah. So that's it. That's my whole video. I'm gonna save these real quick. And again, guys, if you want to go ahead and check out the Topology group, I will link it right here in the description. Go check it out. Probably in the pinned comment as well. But go check that out. I'm going to also just go through my picks again one more time just to reaffirm who I picked. But I'm taking Hardy over Mora. I'm taking Elliott over Hafez. I'm taking Gall over Bahimaj. I'm taking Tybura over Deniz. I'm taking Onama over Romero. I'm taking Miller over Jackson. I'm taking Weidman over Anders. I'm taking Martinez over McGee. Possibly. I might change that before the fight even happens. But I'm taking Hoofy over Yontop. I'm taking Silva over Hawaho. Nickel over Craig. Oliveira over Chandler. And Jones over Miocic. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe, bell icon for notifications. But that was like 2 edits this video, so I did a pretty good job for the most part. Hopefully I wasn't too hard to understand at times, but thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys later tomorrow for the live stream. If you guys want to watch my live stream and join in and watch me react to Jones versus Miocic and be angry the entire time, then go ahead, join me tomorrow. But I'll see y'all later. Peace.